morning and welcome to the Skinny for Friday, October 10th. I'm Mitch Perry, the senior political reporter for the Florida Phoenix, joined by my colleague, creative loafing editor-in-chief, Ray Roa. Hey, Ray.
Good morning, Mitch. It's a special day today.
It is a special day of programming for the next hour. We're not doing a regular show, although you'll certainly hear from some of our guests we've had on in recent weeks and months, but we are fundraising if you're just tuning in right now. And hey, don't run away from the radio. This is going to be a fun time. Really, I guarantee it. You are listening, of course, to WMNF 88.5 FM. We are fundraising, the fall fundraising drive. The station, which has been on the air now for 46 years plus. In fact, we just had a great birthday bash last month in St. Petersburg. And we are fundraising today. And the quicker we get to our goal, I guess the more we can do programming and talk. You can hear from our great guests that we've had on in recent weeks. The goal was $1,500, which I think is totally doable. And of course, we're now in a different environment, Ray. We're no longer getting the funding from the federal government after the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was axed by the Trump administration earlier this year. But I think our callers, they already did. They showed up when we had that special day of programming a few months ago.
Big question mark about, when is that funding coming back? What does it even look like? And also, what do licenses look like for public radio stations like ours? Like, where do we stand? I know a lot of these stations aren't going to be popping up here in the near future based on what the FCC has been saying. So if this 46 years running experiment means something to you, now's the time to just chip in a little bit.
Yeah, let's give the number out right now. 813-239-9663 is the telephone number. We've got great people waiting to hear from you right now. You can give to any dollar amount possible. We've got a lot of great gifts that we can provide for you for giving us a call. We'll mention that in just a moment. But the important thing here is to show, if you want to, obviously, and we encourage you to do this, is to show your support for this radio station, for this particular program. The Skinny has been on now for almost 3 years. Originally, Ben Montgomery, formerly of the Tampa Bay Times and Tampa Bay Axios, was our third compadre here. He did leave us earlier this year. He's still around in the world here. He just left the Skinny. But Ray and I, we've been doing it since and having a pretty good time in a very tense, crazy political atmosphere.
Since day one, it's kind of crazy to think about the people that we've had on the show and think that for me, at least during my week, this is one of the grounding things for me, doing the paper every day and then trying to make that happen. And I get to come to the station. We get to do some reporting here. A lot of the reporting that you put out on the Phoenix, Mitch, started here in this studio over the last 3 years. And we've had some really great guests on.
Well, the thing I really, when I think about the Skinny is that, there's some other shows, public affairs programming. You hear the point of view on there, and it's great. Some of the other programs we have on here. What we're trying to do here is give you the information, hear from newsmakers, hear from lawmakers, hear from academics, other journalists, people who are making the news here, and just giving you that opportunity to hear it. And we're lucky enough to get this opportunity to put on a show that we want to do every week here on 88.5 FM. And so I'm really grateful for that. Grateful to be involved with MNF as I have been for so many years here. And before we go any further, we got Sean Canada, of course, the news director here. Sean, we've got a call already in, or a contribution in. It's a challenge.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about. I'll tell you about the challenge in just a second.
Yeah.
But first, I want to thank the last three people who donated during Down and Dirty. Rick from St. Pete has contributed $50, and he's getting a WMNF Pride magnet and some radioactive stickers. Also, Catherine from St. Petersburg contributing $160, Kathy in St. Pete, and is getting the jersey that you could also get for your donation of $150. Nancy Johnson from Lutz has contributed $50. She's a programmer on The Blues Show, and she is contributing to Down and Dirty. So thanks to everyone who donated to Down and Dirty. Now it's your turn to donate to The Skinny on WMNF. As Mitch was telling you all about it, what a great show for newsmakers and finding out about what's happening in the world. Well, we do have a challenge. Before the show began, just a few minutes ago, Melissa from Plant City called in a $300 challenge, and she's going to get a pair of WMNF socks, and she'll donate $300 if we can get three $100 donations right now to The Skinny. This is a $300 challenge in honor of the late Rob Lori, his dedication and commitment to news and community affairs at WMNF. And Melissa thanks Mitch and Ray for their excellence on The Skinny. So thank you so much for that challenge. We hope that we'll meet it by getting three $100 donations right now at 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about Rob Lori a lot, and a lot of us miss it. And for me, as somebody who's late to the news thing relatively compared to you guys, it's crazy to sit in this building sometimes and to think about how Rob brought all of you guys in here, and you guys have gone on to do what you've done here in the community. Mitch, you've worked at Creative Loafing. You're at the Florida Phoenix now. And the news department, I mean, it occupies a pretty big office here. And it's important to the listeners. And more than that, it's important to the community. It's a non-paywalled news site. You know, all you have to do to listen to this radio station is turn the radio on. So you got to have a little bit of power or a hand crank radio or an internet connection. And you're listening to this. And that's the service that this station provides.
Absolutely. And again, just to mention that re-up, that pledge from our listener, Melissa, who, again, wants to see if we can get 3 $100 contributions in the name, in honor of the late Rob Lurai. Of course, Rob did leave this planet just a couple months ago, actually, late August, as it were, just a little over 2 months ago. And we miss him very much. And he'll never be forgotten, ever.
We need you to call the studio here. Or you can just visit WMNF.org, find the skinny, and donate there.
And let's talk about some of the gifts we have here. And Sean mentioned a jersey. Now, I don't know.
A jersey hoodie.
Okay,
so it's a jersey hoodie. It's kind of nice out right now. And I would have worn a hoodie if I had one. It's you can get it for $150, or you can join the Circle of Friends at $13 a month. It's kind of like a charcoalish color. It's got the new WMNF circle crest on the left chest there. It says WMNF 88.5 FM on the sleeve. It's really cool. Looks like there's a men's cut and a women's cut. And you can grab that if you join the Circle of Friends. It's $13 a month.
I think we call it the Circle of Resistance, actually. Now.
Oh, the Circle of Resistance is what it's called.
But anyway, yes, absolutely. So, and you mentioned the weather. I'm told from the weather guys, it's going to be cool this Sunday. I'm going out to the Niner Tampa Bay game, and it'd be so awesome. Obviously, if it's a little cooler for San Francisco, because they're not used to playing in this heat and humidity, and it'll be great for the 70,000 fans who don't have to sweat it out.
And please don't let Mitch's allegiance to San Francisco discourage you from. By
the way, I read that Mac Jones may not play today. I'm very worried on Sunday now. All right, but enough of that. Okay, so I guess we've got
talk to me about the guests that you bring on here, Mitch. So one of my favorite things about doing the show, Creative Loafing is its own publication, but Mitch Perry and the Florida Phoenix has its own thing too, and it really does open up the door for me to talk to people who maybe I wouldn't talk to before, and those are some of the guests that you bring on.
Yeah, we definitely do. A lot of, people, I cover the state government, obviously, so we do a lot with state lawmakers, and we also have members of Congress, and you'll hear from one of them later on this program here. And obviously local, because that's what local community radio can do well, is cover the local Tampa Bay area here. Hopefully we do it in a comprehensive fashion. In fact, I'm ready to almost put on our skip to get ready for our first sound cue. We brought on a little while ago Hillsborough County School Board, chair, right, Jessica Vaughn. And one of the questions we wanted to ask her about, this is kind of a national phenomenon, but it certainly is pronounced in Hillsborough County, and that is missing students. I guess this goes back to COVID, when the schools were reopened, X amount of students didn't come in. This affects funding. This affects a whole lot of things here. So I think we're ready to go to that first program. But again, we've got the first call in.
We need the phone to ring, 813-239-9663. I guarantee you these are the friendliest people you will ever talk to on the phone. If you want to talk to somebody nice, call up WMNF right now. Please pitch in to keep this radio station on the air, to tell the radio station that news and public affairs is important to you.
Yeah, and also let's mention we've got a couple shows we can offer some tickets to. One is a Zach Person, I'm told, is a blues guitarist. He's going to be playing at Skipper Smokehouse on Saturday night, November 15th at 8 p.m., and we've got a pair of tickets for $60. So you're looking for some entertainment in a few weeks from now. I guess that'd be, 4 weeks or so from now on a Saturday night when the weather should definitely be cool. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. That's a joke. It may be. We hope it is. But nevertheless, that is available for a $60 contribution right now. If you give us a call, 813-239-9663. You can also, of course, go on the internet, the interwebs, as it were, at WMNF.org, just like that, and you can contribute as well. Looking for that first phone call, other than what we got there from our first caller.
Yeah, so 813-239-9663. Give us a call. Let's hear from you, and let's hear from Jessica Vaughn.
Yeah, let's go that. So, Skip, why don't you go, Jessica Vaughn?
The problem, from my understanding, and it's very hard to get clarity on it, is that the process for voucher systems was rolled out without the proper infrastructure, right? They just basically offered all these vouchers.
A couple years ago, yeah.
And so when we get a count back and we say, hey, these students are enrolled, they can come back and be like, no, they've actually taken a scholarship, or your enrollment is incorrectly. Like, we give them our counts, and then they come back and give us, they true up in their system. However, from my understanding of what I've been told, they overpaid the vouchers. So they paid vouchers to people who were in our public schools, who were using our services, who we were getting funding for and providing the services for. So since they've overfunded these vouchers or double paid on these vouchers, they've had to come back to each district and just take money away because they are actually in a deficit. So that causes our deficit. Now, some of it is just they're saying those students weren't in our classroom. And if they say that, regardless if we can show the enrollment or not, the state has the ultimate say. But a good portion of it was, we know these kids were in your schools. You provided services, some ESE services, but we're taking that money back because we've overpaid on these voucher systems. And to me, that's a slippery slope, because people want us to be fiscally responsible, good stewards of their tax dollars. But if we budget, and at any time the state, because they've overfunded something, can come in and just literally take millions of dollars. I mean, $18 million is a step. It's a yearly raise for almost all of our employees. If they can take that away without any accountability, it makes it incredibly hard to forecast and budget properly.
I want to bring up something that this is happening to school boards throughout the whole state. Rocky Hanna, he's the superintendent of the Leon County School Board. He wrote a lengthy Facebook post a couple days ago on the Leon County School District's Facebook page, discussing a lot of the different issues, why they have a $12.5 million shortfall. And then he wrote, after explaining specific line items, he said, quote, "I would be remiss if I didn't voice my deep disappointment in the decisions being made by state leaders. In a state," and this is all from his quote, "in a state with a strong economy and constant talk of tax cuts, public education continues to be underfunded. It is disheartening to watch our schools, places that shape the future of our state, get left behind. In the meantime, however, the legislature has found nearly $4 billion to fund private schools and students in homeschool programs. These schools, now funded with taxpayer dollars, have zero accountability and transparency. While there are multiple chapters of Florida statute that govern and regulate traditional public schools, private schools who are receiving tax scholarships for their students have zero." We had Laura Hine on here for the Pinellas County School Board a couple months ago, and she really is very passionate about this. And this, it's very hard to believe this is happening. It is. I know it is. We just, he just said it. You talk about, but how challenging is this for you, being a school board member, trying to represent the public school district here when you have that situation coming from Tallahassee?
I mean, it keeps me up at night, and not a lot of things do. I knew when I ran for office, we were looking at an attempt to privatize education. That's decades long, right? Starting with No Child Left Behind. But the brazenness and the how fast it's happening, and how quickly they're defunding public education, and how much this voucher expansion has really literally just taken so much money out of our budget. And it's not just the vouchers. Then every legislation session, there's a categorical that's defunded. I mean, they almost took away a lot, one of our categoricals that does all of our AVID career preparation. It does our IB programs. We really had to rally the community and fight for that. And what's unfortunate is, public education isn't a partisan issue. I mean, it might seem like it if you look at just the legislators, but if you go into communities, again, where I was elected for a second time, that is a majority Republican community at this point, it's because people want good, strong public schools. They don't want to have to navigate charter school applications and carpools to get their kids. They want to move into a neighborhood, and they want their kids to go to school with the people in the neighborhood, and they want strong public schools. Just like when, you said you segued away from the books to this budget crisis, but I don't think it is a segue. I think it's very intentional. I think there's a focus on the culture wars to distract from the conversation of the defunding, because no one in our community, very little people care about those books. We get no emails. No parents are concerned about the books. They know they can monitor the books, but that's what we spent the opening time talking about, and now we're talking about the defunding. But it's a perfect distraction, because when people find out whether again, we're the largest employer, and every single person has a kid in the school, a grandkid, somebody who teaches in the school. And when you threaten that establishment with constant defunding, it really upsets people. And so trying to figure out where all these little gaps of funding come in, unfortunately, where it normally comes in is our employees are our biggest expense. And so we start to chip away at the people at our schools, those support specialists, those reading specialists, all the people in our schools who, one, keep our kids safe, and two, provide that extra support. And let me be clear, our quality isn't going down because we have amazing educators who show up every day for our kids. But what it does is it adds more stress and work to their lives. I mean, they're getting burnt out because they're still getting the work done, but they're having to work 2 or 3 times harder than that. And being an educator is already hard enough. And so, there's only going to be so long where they can kind of pick up all those places where we're defunding them. Unless people really rally and make it a priority to protect public education when they're looking at every single person running for office, I don't care if it's soil and water, I don't care if it's your county commissioner, which actually has some funding on our budget, I don't care if it's all the way up to the governor and your representative. If you care about saving traditional public education, you have got to have those questions on every level with every single candidate.
That was current Hillsborough County School Board member Jessica Vaughn. You are listening to Skinny here on WMNF. 22 minutes after the hour. Mitch Perry, Ray Roa, Sean Kinane, all here as we're fundraising right now. So we're playing some excerpts from previous interviews of the Skinny the last few months. That was Jessica Vaughn from July talking about issues going on. There's so many going on in our education system right now. Sean, we want to make sure to thank folks who listen to John Dingfelder's show at 10 a.m. Some more people have called in to contribute to John's show.
Yeah, Suzanne House from Tampa is donating $20 a month on our Circle of Friends or Circle of Resistance and is supporting the Down and Dirty show. So thank you for that. And I want people to call in and support the Skinny right now. We have a challenge on the table, a $300 challenge. If we get 3 $100 or more donations, we will get this $300 challenge. Thank you so much for that. And we're looking for your call right now, 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org.
And that's a $20 joiner on the Circle of Resistance, Circle of Friends as it used to be. But you can get into that circle for even less. For $5 a month, we'll send you our famous live local radio on the Gulf of Mexico bumper sticker or a pride magnet, and you can get in there for $5 a month or a one-time $35 pledge. It is the fall drive, so there is a beanie. There's a resistance beanie. It's WMNF. It's got the WMNF Circle logo right on there. It looks like a black beanie.
And how much is that available
for? That's
$88.50
or just $8 a month. $8 a month, you can wear that beanie all year long. You can wear it all through the summer and just look and get a lot of attention for that.
Indeed. All right. 813-239-9663 is the telephone number. We're taking your phone calls live up until, this station's doing fundraising for another few days after this. So anytime, but basically, if you want to contribute to the Skinny, you got to 12:01.
And we got a big goal that we have to hit here,
$1,500. And by the way, though, so we're getting some great, not so many people through the internet are actually contributing. Let's see here. This is an anonymous, okay, make sure that I don't want to give the name out, but this anonymous person is responding to Melissa's, people trying to pledge.
The challenge here.
Yeah, in honor of Rob Loray. And this is a very generous $428 contribution from this person, who I'll just say is from Wesley Chapel. So we really thank you in Pasco County.
And again, that challenge, we need 3 people to donate at least $100.
Right, so we've got one there.
Right, so there's one. So we need 2 more people for that challenge, and we get an extra $300 on top of Melissa's pledge.
Yeah, again, just tuning in to listen to Skinny here, Mitch Perry, Ray Roa. We are fundraising until 12 noon on this community radio station, doing it for 46 plus years. What do you think? We're looking for a couple dollars here from you.
Yeah, $100, by the way, we'll get you with the new Resistance Radio T-shirt. It's a black T-shirt. It says Resistance Radio big on it there. It's got a variation. Oh, Skip, our board operators. Where's the case? Stay standing, Skip. It says WMNF 88.5 FM down at the bottom. The People's Frequency, supporting local artists since 1979. Designed by Robin Milkowitz. And that's really cool to see.
And speaking of Skip and Linda Sassy, of course, live in the Hillsborough County region here, are giving us, oh my gosh, they're a Circle of Friends contributor, and they're giving us $600.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Skip.
That is so incredibly generous.
That means a lot. For the last 3 years, we've spent every Friday morning with Skip, and I've met Linda quite a few times. And one thing that bonds all 3 of us here, we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Right? You give your time to this station because in your travels through the world, you realize that this place is really special. And if it didn't exist, then would that be a community that you want to live in?
But
to make such a huge contribution, thank you.
Thank you, Skip. But it's not just a love from Skip here. It's Skip's friends who love Skip and Linda because they are contributing here. We've got, let's see, Nanette Larson from Tampa is contributing $76 because it's Skip's birthday. Is that today, Skip?
No, it's the 21st.
The 21st.
Okay.
So it's coming up.
Yes. He'll be hitting the big 7-0. Can we say that? You look great. You don't look a day over 69.
He looks younger than I am. I'm 40. So.
And also enjoys the socks. Okay, he's getting the socks, which are available for $65 contribution.
That's correct. We don't have the socks all the time. I have the red from a long time ago. It was the red socks with the yellow letters on them, and they are kind of like a special thing that I get to pull out and I get to wear them and I remember the drive. So these socks, they're black. They kind of have some white lettering, and then they have the rainbow WMNF crest on them. Those are $65 or $6 a month. I can think of other things I spend $6 a month on that.
Yeah, well, and no, it's final note to for Skip, whose birthday is coming up later this month, is Nan and Jim say love you lots. So there you go. And also another Skip, a friend of Skip around the country. This is from Los Angeles. Judy Rosenzweig. Judy Rosenzweig, a $76 contribution in honor of Skip Sassy, in honor of the 50th anniversary of your 20th birthday. Happy Skip. Love and peace, Judy and Jamie. Thank you so much.
These are people from Minneapolis and LA. These are
national
Linda's siblings chipping in, and I think we're going to have to bring Skip on as the third host of the show if we get more in Skip's name. So
Skip, put the mic on for you for a second. Yeah. Come on, we got to give you some love here. So Skip, you got friends around the country who
are listening to this.
Yeah,
those are my sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws who Linda's family I've known for like 52 years since I was 17. So I turned 70 in September. So I've known them that long. So I was very pleased that they gave money to the station because I personally don't need a lot of stuff anymore at my age. So,
I've known Skip for 3 years, and this is our relationship, right, Skip? Like, we come to the radio and we do this, but, one thing that you always talk to me about is Linda and what you guys are doing and things like that. So it means a lot that, one, you carve time out of your Friday and get up and come here, and it really just epitomizes that feeling that I think we need everybody to tap into, that it takes a little bit from a lot of people to make this thing work. And without Skip here every Friday, the board, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But Skip just gives us time, and that's what we do here in this community. We chip in what we can, when we can, and we very rarely ask people for money. I mean, it's 3, maybe 4 times a year that
for
we
us,
do this.
The Skinny this is our 3rd time this year out of the 49 other weeks of the year. We're just doing regular programming. And let's get back to that. Let's go. We're going to go now to some more sound. I guess let's see. Anything else you want to tell our listeners about?
Yeah, 813-239-9663. Come get some gear. We have the jersey hoodie. We have the socks. Ask about the artist t-shirt. We haven't talked about the grocery tote, by the way. It's kind of a denim color. You can get that for $10 a month by joining the Circle of Resistance or Circle of Friends at $10 a month. It's really cool. There's a bamboo phone stand. I know a lot of people listen to this radio station on their phone or on their smart speaker. I know we do at our house. And they read a lot of the news and consume the social media feeds on their phone. So if you just, need a stand for your phone, do that. $5 a month. 813-239-9663. We're really optimistic we can hit this goal today. It's $1,500 for the Skinny. Help us do our part for public affairs and news here. Tell the radio station, somebody's got to make a decision about what happens with this programming, whether news and public affairs should get such a big chunk of this air. And if it's important to you, then we need to hear from you.
So we're going to go to some sound. We talked to former state senator Jeff Brandes, a Republican from St. Petersburg, who, of course, has the, what's the name of his think tank now? The Florida Policy Institute, I think it is, which is very big on issues like criminal justice reform and affordable housing. And I think that the topic we talked about here was about housing here. Senator Brandes is a great commentator about what goes on in the legislature. He was there for 12 years, I believe it was, and is very critical about things that have gone on there, but really got to know the inside of it. And so let's bring this excerpt up from, I think we talked to him back, I think it's back in June, actually. So let's go to that sound right now.
So, listen, my big takeaway after 12 years in Tallahassee is there is no strategy. It's all tactical in Tallahassee, right? I would say it kind of Tallahassee and Florida, frankly, is stuck in the 70s when it comes to housing. You think about the SHIP and the SAIL program that kind of talked about things. Those were designed in like the early 70s, and we haven't touched them since. Nobody's gone back and really reformed them. Nobody's really asking if there's working. And I can tell you in the legislature, there really isn't a standout housing champion who has taken this issue solely on as saying, this is the issue that I'm going to own for for the next 8 to 10 years.
And you know, we need one, basically.
We need a state run on best practices. This is what the Florida Policy Project has been talking about for 3 years now, which is like, look, let's go back and spend the resources to actually go through our housing plan and put forth best practices from around the country that actually work. I don't know how that's controversial.
There was a bill on ADUs this year. I think Gates, Matt Gates' dad, Daddy Gates, Don Gates,
Papa Gates.
Yeah, and so that, and I think that folded at the end, though, right? That didn't happen.
Yeah, I got caught up in the whole Airbnb vacation rental kind of discussion. Unfortunately, listen, accessory dwelling units, mother-in-law suites, granny flats, whatever you want to call them, that is the shortest putted housing. They should be allowed by right in every property in the state of Florida, and that would radically allow for us to increase at least a certain amount of single family, single bedroom kind of housing, which is what we desperately need. You know, servers and police officers and other police will need places to stay, and single people need places to stay, and that would allow for that. And we could do that without government financing all of these projects. The simple truth is, if you want to build a brand new apartment in St. Petersburg right now, it's going to cost you, even affordable apartments are going to cost you $300,000, $330,000 a unit to build that in St. Petersburg. There's no way to make that affordable without massive government subsidies. So what are the ways that we can have housing become more affordable without massive government subsidies? This is what the Florida Policy Project has laid out. You've got to do accessory dwelling units. You've got to allow lot splits by right. You've got to allow for smaller lot sizes. And you've got to allow increased density. Instead of building a single family home, allow a duplex, allow a quad. I can make those structures look exactly like a single family home. You wouldn't know 3 families lived in there, but you can do that today. So we've got to get creative. The problem is the incentives are wrong. The state largely gave zoning and control of housing to the cities and counties decades ago, in like the 20s and 30s. And we haven't gone back and said, all right, now we're going to give you the incentives for doing the right thing. But if you continue to do the wrong thing and continue to kind of go down this path of single family homes on quarter-acre lots and that's all you can build, well, then we're going to run out of land, as we have in Pinellas and as you are seeing in Hillsborough, where basically people have to get in a car and drive until they can qualify for a mortgage. Why is growth exploding in Polk County? Well, it's because that's how far you have to go to get a $250,000 home.
Right. And that's what we saw the expansion in eastern Hillsborough County over the last decade or so.
We're pushing people out, but people don't want to live. They want to live closer to downtown. Mm-hmm. There's just nothing they can afford downtown. And it's because our product mix is wrong. And we have to have the courage of our local elected officials. But frankly, you need the incentives that Tallahassee sets to get the local officials to give them the courage to do what they need to do.
Yeah, it seems like locally, when we talk about ADUs or even, the way homes look at the local level, we run into things, whether it's an architecture commission or something like that. This house isn't going to look the right way. Or with ADUs, is it just going to be an Airbnb? How can we guarantee that the ADU is going to be used for more permanent housing?
You can't and you shouldn't. The simple truth is a bunch of these ADUs are going to be somebody's garage band, and some of them are going to be vacation rentals, and some of them are going to be for family members that want to transition out of their existing homes. Stop focusing on all the specific uses and focus on the fact that you need more housing units, period.
Right.
Just at the end of the day, more housing units, period. And so what can we do to get more housing units, period, online?
Now, speaking about Airbnbs, there has been, I know the Tampa Bay Times has done a lot of journalism on this about these big companies or whether equity companies or what have you buying properties, and that's all they're using it for. Do you think that's out of hand? Do you think
no, it's not. It's not, because
you're a free market guy.
Well, the evidence shows that for a vast majority of these companies, they're renting to long-term renters. Well, that's great. Those renters needed someplace to go, and a lot of them are keeping their houses up. The ones that aren't keeping their houses up, look, people shouldn't rent those houses. But the simple truth is that if you don't want the government to start playing in that sandbox, a lot of individuals build their wealth by buying homes and renting them out. Right. We're not going to put a cap on the amount of homes that one entity or one person can buy. And if you did, these companies would just create new entities under the existing holding company, and they would buy 100 homes, and then they would move on and create another entity and buy another 100 homes. There's no way around that. And the simple truth is the government shouldn't be forcing or mandating it. What needs to happen is the government has to change the rules to allow more housing units to be built.
Right.
And they haven't done that.
And again, that was former State Senator Jeff Brandes talking about the housing situation, the affordable housing situation crisis here in Florida a few months ago. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, it's 11:35 a.m. here on WMNF 88.5 FM. We are fundraising on the Skinny right now. I'm Mitch Perry. I'm with Ray Roa here, and we are going to ask for more of your financial contributions. If you can kind of pull that through here.
We need the phone to ring. 813-239-9663, WMNF.org if you want to give online. We really need to hit this goal of $1,500. We have a lot of things that we'd love to send you. We haven't talked about these keychains. There's a 2-inch keychain or a 2-inch magnet you can get. That's $25 or $5 a month. Or maybe you just love music and you want to go to some concerts. Next weekend, WMNF's Halloween Ball is happening at New World Tampa. We will email you 2 tickets to that for a $60 donation. And as Mitch mentioned earlier, Skippers, the Skipper Dome in November sounds like a really good time. Zach Person's going to be there. A quintessential WMNF act, blues, rock there, and be with the WMNF tribe. That's also $60. We'll email you that. And then there's this huge WMNF passport. It's this year-long pass. It gets you 10 tickets to any show, MNF show of your choice. I don't know that I have 10 friends, Mitch, but that'd be pretty cool to bring 10 people to any WMNF show for a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So again, we're getting some contributions though through the folks looking at the computer here at WMNF.org, and I believe a lot of these gifts that we're talking about you can actually look at and see. And so when you if you want to call in, or again directly through the internet, look at all the different fine gifts we have. But again, we're talking here a lot about MNF and the fact, of course, I've been involved with this radio station off and on for 25 years since I got here in 2000. Actually, staff member for 9 years and a volunteer for almost every year since. I was up in Tallahassee for a couple years in 2018, 2019. Back here with Ray, with Ben Montgomery, we did the Skinny starting in January of 2023. And
I go back almost just as far, Mitch. I volunteered here in high school, so that would have been early 2000s. Okay. I used to work in the music library. Flea and Michael Bagley would have me put colored tape to categorize the music, and I would listen to the beginning and end of every show to make sure that the station ID was going out. So, this building has meant a lot to me. I never got to, set foot in the other buildings and never got to experience
consider
those.
Yourself privileged. I mean, that was a kind of a dump. But actually, we this has been 20 years, I guess, of this building here on MLK Jr. Boulevard. And, it was great. Last month, the WMNF did celebrate its 46th birthday. It's been around. It is an institution in the Tampa Bay area. Hopefully one for good, I think most of us would agree at. And again, it's helped by your financial contributions from the listeners here who have been so generous over those 46 years. And it was great, by the way. I got to meet a few listeners last at the it was in St. Petersburg.
It was at Bay Borough Brewing.
Yeah. Very funky place because they had this big facility in the back there and a couple great bands.
Venue.
Yeah, we had a great time at it. And so glad to be a part of that. So what do I want to say? Oh, hey, I got another contribution here.
We got some stuff here.
Okay, so, and again, a national audience, of course, thanks, to the internet the last 30 years, people can listen to MNF from across the country, and people are doing that. Here's a contribution from Cecilia Cortez from Brooklyn, and she is going to be a member of the Circle of Friends for $5.70 a month. $5.70 a month. That is, of course, annualized to $68.40. That is a member of the Circle of Friends. Yeah,
Circle of Resistance.
Call it what you will, but just call us, okay? And it's a monthly contribution, again, so you can break it down so it can make it very, feasible for you. I would hope, you don't get a big chunk taken out of your checking account immediately, but just spread it out. And we love to have Circle of Friends or Circle of Resistance members here because that brings that funding coming in every month here. And, obviously there are bills to pay here at the station.
And to join the circle, it tells the station a lot. It's money that they can count on. It's money that they know is coming in. And it is crazy. I remember the first time I joined Circle of Friends, I put a sticker on a really old Jeep that I had. And you look at it every day and you're listening to the station. And then sometimes it's kind of like, when you buy a certain car, you see somebody with the same car and you notice it. Then you start to notice the other WMNF stickers on the other cars. And you start to feel like you're in a community, even without stepping foot in this building or even going to an event, just tuning into the frequency and knowing that you pitched in. It's an incredible feeling, especially at a time when we can feel really disconnected, either literally or by our own views and things like that. The station gives us a place to share our common interests, whether it's music, news and public affairs, healthy debate. I love that we have Senator Brandes on. He's a Republican, and he's able to talk real openly and earnestly about his party, where it's going, where it's been.
We had Jake Hoffman on from the Tampa Bay Young Republicans, and I loved having Jake on. I think a lot of people responded really positively to that program.
Anna Paulina Luna is a regular, guest. We're able to get these voices on, and then the callers are the community itself can call in and speak directly to their elected officials, and nowhere else is that happening on the radio in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this is such a great show. What a valuable asset to have on the air, and it's yours because you listen to WMNF or you listen to 88.5 or WMNF.org or on the WMNF app, and it comes to you without any kind of charge, but we do hope that you become a member of WMNF if you enjoy listening to the programming, whether it's the music or it's the great news shows like The Skinny. Give us a call, 813-239-9663 to show your support, or you can donate at WMNF.org. We're looking for people who will donate for the WMNF t-shirt, which is $100, or maybe you'd like the hoodie. It's going to be cool, we hope. Mitch tells us it's going to be cool pretty soon.
Mitch is weatherman now.
Yeah, so we hope so.
Well, Sunday.
Dennis Phillips, look out.
$150 donation, you can get a beautiful WMNF hoodie. So please give us a call now.
And if you donate $100, that would get us closer to meeting our challenge. From Melissa in Plant City, Melissa has said if 3 people will donate $100, she'll double her pledge of $300. So we've already got 1 person chipped in. We're looking for 2 more $100 pledges. That'll get you the Resistance Radio t-shirt designed by Robin Milkowitz. I don't think we're going to see this one again. This one looks like a very limited edition. It's our Circle of Resistance Radio drive here for the fall. So pitch in $100, get in that, help us get that challenge, help us get closer to this goal of $1,500 for this game.
One of the things the station, of course, does is it does power local artists, grassroots news, community voices that commercial radio ignores, and we've been doing it for forever. And we also do have some of the establishment people on here. We'll have on in a few minutes. The next sound is going to be from, you mentioned Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna over here in Hillsborough and Pinellas, actually, Congresswoman Kathy Castor, who's been representing this area for close to 20 years now, actually. I go back, Ray, so long. We had, when that seat was opened up in 2006, Jim Davis, of course, had that seat for 10 years.
We've had on the show.
Yes, and he ran for governor, right, in 2006. So it was an open seat. It was going to probably stay a Democratic-leaning seat. And we did, on the WMNF Evening News back in 2006, a live radio debate with the 5 Democrats who were running for that seat. That included Al Fox, Scott Farrell, Michael Steinberg, Les Miller, and Kathy Castor. Kathy Castor won that seat, won that election then. And so she's come back in the last 3 years since we had the Skinny in August when the Congress has their August break, although, of course, they're on break now because House Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't want to bring them back. Now they have 218 enough members to vote on the Epstein files, apparently. But anyway, so we had, we're going to bring some sound up of Congresswoman Kathy Castor. Let's see, let's hit that. I'm sorry, folks. Congresswoman Kathy Castor was on the show in August, and let's just run some of that right now, Skip, if we could. If we can do that. Is that not happening?
Kathy's not loading. So I remember we've had Kathy Castor on, I don't know, countless times. And I always wonder what I'm going to ask her. And one time I couldn't resist, We're a really serious show, but at the time, everybody was talking about aliens in Washington, D.C. Remember that, Mitch?
Well, and Congresswoman Luna was actually specifically.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to ask her. And I remember looking Kathy Castor in the face, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to ask this. And we asked her about aliens, and she answered it, and then we pivoted to something a little bit more serious.
Dismissively, she answered it.
But it was crazy, and those kinds of opportunities are just they're just rare. And Kathy Castor is a great, is great for coming on and wanting to talk to the listeners every time that they're on a break.
Why don't we do Jolly, actually? How about, so we're having a little trouble with that sound for Kathy Castor, but speaking about another major politician, David Jolly, as we all know, is former congressman, former Republican congressman from Pinellas County, then an independent analyst for MSNBC for so many years, and now, of course, he's a Democrat, right? And he's running for governor for next year, actually, and he's been pretty ubiquitous, actually, if you're a Democrat. He's hitting all these conservative areas this next couple of weeks here. Actually, one poll, only, I think, 8 points down against Byron Donalds. It's very early on. We have a year to go here. But we did interview David Jolly shortly after he came on as a candidate, I believe, back in July. And so, Skip, can we try to see if we can get that David Jolly sound here? What's going on? Okay, we are having problems with that right now. All right, okay.
Yeah, so David Jolly, I mean, he came on really early. I was surprised that he came on, Mitch, but I think it's also a good opportunity for them to talk to you. I think a lot of times they know when they talk to you here on the show, they're probably going to show up in a Florida Phoenix story, right? There have been times when we have a really local issue that we talk about here on the show, and we can bring that to Creative Loafing. So in a world where the media is being characterized a certain way and there's less and less money for news organizations, the collaboration that this MNF platform has given us the opportunity to do that is more essential than ever.
Well, right. And of course, the part of the skinny is about like having news reporters like yourself and myself, coming on here and doing the show who are actually out there reporting every day. And that is something that we both do, right? We're both pretty busy. I know I certainly am. Grateful to have this half hour. Grateful that my employers allow me to take basically half a day off on Friday here to do the show. And yeah, you're right. Many times we'll do an interview here and then I'll turn around and write it up that day because it is making news. I didn't write it up last week, but Dave Ehrenberg was very interesting as always.
I mean, even Scott Rivke's, I got phone calls after the former Surgeon General of Florida, now at Brown University. I sometimes I get phone calls after our shows and like, I can't believe you had that guy on, and he was saying all that stuff. And this is a guy that was appointed by Ron DeSantis, right?
Right.
And, he spoke really candidly about the turn that the governor's taken on vaccines.
He does not like this proposal on a ban of vaccine mandates that Joseph Ladapo, his successor as Florida Surgeon General, has proposed. And by the way, that is no done deal. Okay, so Kathy Castro.
Let's try Kathy Castro.
Let's try that again.
Frequent guest on the show.
Well, I would ask them to not define me by 20 years ago or 12 years ago, but watch my journey over the last 10 years. I mean, I think for every one person with that concern, there's probably a dozen that have watched my journey, particularly on MSNBC, and have seen me defend democratic values at times with greater passion than some Democrats have. I mean, I joke, the first time I was on with Claire McCaskill, I think I reached across the table and pounded my fist and said, I'm more of a Democrat than you are right now, because I was arguing Pelosi should do more to impeach Trump, and Claire was saying, pump the brakes a little bit. So look, that's probably my comment when I was on with John. Eventually voters are going to have to make a decision. I have probably been more transparent and open in my political journey than any politician I know. I mean, look, the question on choice and other issues where Charlie Crist would say, I never left the party left me. I don't try to hide the ball. I don't think any of us believe Charlie. I mean that respectfully to Charlie. I really do. I'm not trying to ding him. I am honest and open and transparent about my journey. I left the Republican Party. I changed. I've grown. And I test that question in politics. Is it okay to change your mind in politics? And I think the answer is yes. I think it should be. I think most of us have. And ultimately, voters get to make that determination. I feel very good about where we are in this campaign. Look, politics is hard. I know there are a lot of hurt feelings. If people want to hold on to something 12 years ago, God bless them. That's their choice. It's not mine.
And when you look at somebody like Mamdani running in New York, kind of showing maybe a playbook for Democrats, we don't know what's going to happen in that race. But how far to the left do you think you're willing to go to embrace, some quote unquote really progressive ideals like that?
Yeah, look, you know what I learned in the independent space? I reject the left-right spectrum altogether. I think people want big solutions to big problems. Sometimes those answers are on the left, sometimes they're in the middle, sometimes they're on the right. Look, I think we need a state catastrophic fund to take hurricane coverage out of the private market and instead make it a peril fully covered by the state. Republicans will call it socialism. They did when I introduced the National Cap Fund. I just call it cheaper insurance. I don't care what you call it. I think we need to expand Medicaid. Does that mean the government has more of a role? Sure, of course it does. I think we need to focus on crime, not fighting communities, but fight crime. Does that make it a progressive principle? Maybe. I also think lower taxes ultimately do contribute to economic growth, but we have to be Democrats who recognize we still need revenue. That doesn't mean no taxes like Republicans are proposing. Look, I think capitalism and fair capitalism lifts everyone up, and we're going to be the party that recognizes that, but says if your personal economy gets disrupted, we're going to make sure you have access to secure housing and health care, the ability to get back on your feet. Instead of falling and hitting the pavement, you're going to get caught by a safety net. I think we need more gun violence prevention legislation. I don't care if you say that's left, right, or middle. I really don't. And so I think we do ourselves a disservice by trying to say, where on the left-right spectrum are you? I think the right question is, do we have bold solutions to big problems? Look, Mamdani won because voters across the country are screaming that there's an affordability crisis. They are telling us there's an affordability crisis that our legacy incumbent politicians aren't listening to or addressing, and he was. And the reason that we have this race as close as we do within just a few months already is because we're talking about the affordability crisis every day, reducing the cost of access to housing for renters, for homeowners. We're talking about reducing utility costs by bringing in clean and renewable energies, by building more multimodal public transportation instead of highways that require you to pay a $10 toll. If we are talking about Florida's solutions to Florida's problems, then a Democratic coalition, hopefully led by David Jolly, has a chance to win next November because we're meeting voters where they're at. That's what Mamdani did in New York. He just had different solutions for that jurisdiction.
And if you're just tuning in right now, that is the voice of David Jolly. He is a Democratic candidate for governor in Florida in 2026. You're listening to The Skinny right now. You're in WMNF, 22 minutes past the hour here in Tampa. I'm Mitch Perry along with Ray Roa. David, let's talk about the race going forward. Byron Donalds is, of course, the leading Republican candidate right now who maybe you might be facing in the general election next year. He's raised an extraordinary amount of money right now, over $20 million. If you look at his political committee, I believe you raised roughly around $1 million. That obviously does not augur well moving forward. How are you going to be able to move up those numbers?
No, I'm great with it. Look, Donalds has been in 4 or 5 months. We've been in 6 weeks. That $1 million number came after we had been a candidate for 3 or 4 weeks. And also, let's have some perspective on this. Donalds, I think, raised $7 million this last quarter from 3 sources. He's taken a $5 million contribution, several $1 million contributions, I believe, and he is Trump's handpicked candidate in the home state of MAGA, and a state where everyone believes Republicans have a generational lock. So the fact that we got in and excited donors from all 50 states, I believe 12,000 unique, or maybe not unique, but 12,000 individual contributions. I feel very good about the energy behind this.
And that was the voice of David Jolly, and it's actually 11:53 right now, not 22 minutes after the hour. That was, of course, a recorded conversation with David Jolly from back in July. And I just will say, update from that interview, David Jolly is doing well competitively in polls. He's not really doing great in fundraising. And since that interview, we've now learned that Byron Donalds has raised more than $30 million in that gubernatorial race. Okay, but we only have a few minutes to go here. We're fundraising right now.
We're close on our goal, Sean.
Okay, and Sean, what can you tell us here?
Yeah, all I know is that it seems like we are close. We're going to be getting there with your help. 813-239-9663.
We're able to meet the first challenge, right?
Yeah, the first challenge we met, and Mitch is in just a second is going to tell you about a second challenge that we have that's going to help to put us over the goal if we can reach it. So first, I should say that Down and Dirty is still getting some donations. Vicky McCarthy from Tampa has contributed $27.10 to that great show. She's getting a WMNF magnet. So we would like to hear from you. If you support The Skinny, Mitch can tell you about a challenge that we have to offer.
Yeah, in fact, that is an anonymous caller giving us a $250 challenge right now. So that is straight up. If we're looking for, we can double that money right now. If somebody calls us right now, 813-239-9663. It's 11:54 right now, so we've got about 6 minutes to go here before we get out of here. A $250 challenge. That would be awesome. We could reach that right now. And one more person to thank, or 2 people actually to thank, Kelly and Rob Osborne from St. Petersburg. They are contributing $132. Doing the Circle of Friends, $11 a month. Let's see, it looks like Kelly's going to get that Women's Resistance t-shirt. That is fantastic. Thank you for that. And thank you everybody so far who's called in.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who's called in and contributed. This is what it takes. It takes, we're on here for an hour, or technically, what is it, Mitch? 56 minutes.
56 minutes, yeah.
That we're on here, and we've got to hit $1,500, and then it helps the station reach its goal over the week. This is what it takes to keep the lights on here. This is what it takes to keep this very microphone that I'm speaking into working. This is what it takes to keep the computers going and to pay the reporters. Chris Young, I look at him quite often through the window here because he's just working hard in the newsroom. And your contribution tells the station that somebody like Chris is important, that you want to hear his voice in the afternoon, that you want to hear what he reported on all morning,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, WMNF News is doing very well these days, actually, and it's great. Of course, we're part of this public affairs block here, following the Down and Dirty and John Dingfelder. And we should say next week, special programming again, that Tampa City Council special election for City Council District 5 is coming up finally in late another 2 weeks or so. And we're going to have a debate at 10 a.m. next week. Yourself, myself, and John Dingfelder will be interviewing the candidates.
We'll have Thomas Scott and Nia Young in studio with us from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then during our show from 11 a.m. to noon, we'll have a panel of local activists, I would say, politicos, reporters, and they're going to react to what they heard in the debate. On both shows, we're going to take calls. In a world that's dominated by podcasts, and all these shows are available as podcasts, to go live on the air with two candidates, turn on the phone, ask them questions directly because they want to run for the seat, which has been a really cool race to cover. District 5 has gotten a lot of attention here since the untimely passing of Councilwoman Gwen Henderson. But it's a really special time, and I think WMNF is the only place where, we had all 13 or 12 because Fran Tate wasn't
right
us,
but that's why I'm saying this will be very different, because it'll be very more conversational. In fact, I did a debate last night that's making some news, by the way, this morning for what happened after the debate, which I must confess I was not there for. When let's just say that open carry is controversial in Florida for a reason. Okay, now that this is now the law of the land here in Florida, but maybe we'll talk about that next week when we have a lot of time to talk about what's going on. And also our discussion next week is going to be about the issue about what's going on in Tampa overall in our cities. We'll expand it so that everybody in the Tampa Bay area community can really kind of adapt, understand what we're talking about. It's not just exclusively about Tampa. This is our major city in this Tampa Bay market.
But we have to hear from you guys if that's something that you want to keep on the air. So it's 813-239-9663, WMNF.org. Please help this skinny hit its goal and pitch into the overall goal for the station. We're looking for $1,500 today. I think we're pretty close.
I think we are.
If we get that challenge, maybe we'll be right over there. So that's a $250 challenge from Anonymous. If we can get another $250 pledge, that would go a super long way. There's actually a We Got You Covered pack. So you would get the artist t-shirt, the beanie, and the socks. And that's a one-time $250 lens or donation, or $21 a month. Oh, they're going to add a lens cleaning cloth as well for you folks that wear glasses. Or I could use it on my computer screen,
Yeah, I can't. How do people keep their glasses clean is my question, okay? I don't know how you do it. I just got a new pair like a year and a half ago, and it's like,
I can barely see your eyes. Your mid. It's crazy. Awful. I don't know how you do it.
It's awful. I'm wearing contacts when I go to the football game on Sunday afternoon. I'll tell you that. Okay, we only have a couple minutes left to go here.
We got 3 minutes here to hit this goal.
Okay, so by the way, again, we've got tickets to see Zach Person, who is a blues guitarist, playing at Skipper Smokehouse on Saturday night, November 15th. For a $60 contribution, you can enjoy some great music and have a great night out. And you'll help out community radio. Also, and I don't know who the artists are performing at the Halloween Ball, which is actually just a week from tonight, October 17th. Also at, that's at the New World in Tampa. So that is a $60 contribution as well. The Halloween Ball that MNF is putting on. So should be
that one's going to be pretty cool. There's some drag performers. Apollo Infinity is a very interesting performer whose performance I won't necessarily describe on the radio. We've written about Apollo in Creative Loafing. Discord Adams, Gidget Von Adams, Medusa, Kat Sass, and Kiera Kior Summers. So WMNF getting in on, it's a lot of fun to go to drag shows. So if you want to go to that, they're going to email you 2 tickets to that. Yeah, they're still legal in this. Yeah. We're free, guys. So they're going to do that here in a couple weekends here at New World Tampa. Just $60 gets you and a friend in there. They email those tickets directly to you. You can meet all your fellow WMNF listeners. I think that's one of the coolest things that WMNF does. Obviously, we're in the news and public affairs block, but there's so many opportunities to come together as a community, and WMNF have just done that. Ever since the very beginning. Okay, Sean Canan is back. I don't know if the news is good or bad.
Well, the show is fantastic, and the listeners are responding. I should tell you that our goal was $1,500, and we have raised $1,930.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, guys.
So thank you to all of our donors who have contributed. Please keep it up. Art in Your Ear is next. What a great show to support. If you can continue to support any show you'd like at 813-239-9663. But congratulations to the Skinny for making goal today.
Yeah, thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to you, Sean, for making space for us, for asking us to come, experiment with this format here 3 years ago. And it's been a lot of fun to be here. It means a lot to be here on the radio with everybody. It means a lot to know that we got that much support here today. And we're optimistic, as we have been really since that huge fund drive in a really big way, that the community wants to keep us around. And we do have 1 minute here. As Sean was saying, the phones are going to stay open for another, until next Wednesday, pretty much, morning. Right? So 813-239-9663, WMNF.org. Thank you so much for helping us go over our goal today. Every single listener, every caller, everybody who chipped in online, thank you so much. It really, really means a lot. Please continue supporting the station. As Sean was mentioning, here on WMNF Tampa, Joe Ellen Schilke will be here with Art in Your Ear. It's my favorite arts magazine that is on the radio. It is incredible what Joe Ellen does, and that's coming up here in about 10 seconds. You hear the news, and 5 minutes after that, you'll hear Art in Your Ear. So thank you so much for helping us hit our goal. Mitch Perry, Skip Sassy, all the phone calls.